So, it is me. It is Michelle De Vera of the Hard Not Life podcast, and very impromptu, very unplanned, and unproduced. Just bringing you guys some content. I know that my husband and I have been missing in action from the podcast since about October. And even before that, it's been really hard to manage and create content for you guys. So I appreciate you hanging on. If you're tuning in for the first time, hey Audio World, I appreciate you. And of course, I'm coming to you via video as well for the first time. I not even set up or anything. I just got off of work. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. It's the middle of the week. All my kids are sleeping, my husband's sleeping, but I felt so strongly that I wanted to just speak and give you guys an idea about where we've been, where I've been, and the reason for the absence and inactivity with it. So we have been so busy. We've had a lot of great life changes happen this year. And there's also been some challenges on a personal level. And not necessarily within our relationship, it's just been with me. I've started dealing with a great deal of anxiety and wasn't realizing it. And that really took its toll on me to the point where I just really had to reach out and get some professional help and try to figure out what was happening, why I was having these involuntary responses to I was having crying spells. I was experiencing severe depression, and it wasn't triggered by something that I could pinpoint, which I had never experienced in my life. I have had postpartum depression with my firstborn, and I have experienced lows. I've experienced panic attacks before in my young adulthood, and this showed up very differently for me because I couldn't say that things weren't great. I couldn't say that I was experiencing something that brought this on. So to go and take my kids, to spring break and go out of town and have this wonderful time, create these beautiful memories, and still feel the need to wipe my tears away because I was crying out of nowhere every day. And it just kept getting worse to the point where I was like, okay, I've really got to do something about this because I don't know what this is. And this is just showing up as almost like, you're getting symptoms from something that you don't know what's causing, what the underlying issue is. And so I have been on a mental health journey this year. And I started doing talk therapy in June as a result of that. And I have been working on myself and trying to figure out what I need. I am a mom. I've been a mom since 2015. I have an 8-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. I've been married for over 13 years now. And as with any parent, as any role, especially as a woman, you tend to neglect yourself a lot for the needs of others. And I've always had an issue with this. Especially, I've been working overnight for 10 years and choosing to keep my kids home and out of daycare has been one of those things that has been like a blessing and a curse because I do not let people help me. I do have trust issues. And both my husband and I have been in agreement about this, of course, but As a result, I've sacrificed the better part of my sleep and mental capacity to make sure that my kids were good and that I felt secure about where they were and who was taking care of them. And it was an absolute blessing to do those things. But it definitely has taken its toll over the years. So while taking my journey with kind of getting my mental space back, it just involved having a lot of tough conversations, addressing some things that I thought were healed. And I'll be honest, like, I'm a believer in Jesus, and I really thought that some things that I just was completely delivered from being upset about or childhood trauma, things like that. But what I have learned during the process of healing and getting my mental space back on a healthy mend is that there are so many layers to healing that I didn't realize I needed to do or go through to say I'm good. I found myself resentful of certain things, and a lot of it was brought on by the fact that I am living not necessarily a mirror of my childhood, but I get to see like my son and my daughter, and it reminds me so much of my brother and I, and that dynamic. It is a blessing to see and to be able to reflect having a family, you know, in that capacity, but just it did trigger some things for me. And so I've had a lot of tough conversations. I've done a lot of work. I think there's still a lot of work to do. I'm getting better, but it not dealing with it and not knowing for a period of time and just kind of like sitting in it, it really caused me to lose joy in my creativity. And it's caused me to I guess you can say just have to sit in what was happening. And I couldn't avoid it by being busy. And I couldn't avoid it by doing things that I loved, which was, you know, creating content for the Hard Knot Life. And I'm still working on building that back up again. But I feel so strongly on my drive home that the Holy Spirit just put it on my heart to share where I'm at and metaphorically give you guys like an idea of what it's like to experience mental health. And I feel like even if it doesn't apply to you, that it would probably help give perspective on how to deal with someone that you love or that you know that may be struggling in that way. And so my hope is that, you know, if you continue to tune in, that this will be informational, that this will be unburdensome. My prayer is that this is beneficial and worth taking the time out to listen to, not because I'm granted your attention, but just because I feel so strongly that I had to share it. And I don't know if it's just for one person or it's 4,000 people. I have no idea. But right now it's for me. And so I just wanted to share my heart with that. And I appreciate you giving me your ear for a moment. This analogy popped up in my head about this metaphor just of an ocean. And I was just thinking about how taking care of yourself and maintaining your mental space and having healthy endeavors and relationships, period, is very much like the boundaries of the sea, right? And I was thinking about, man, like lifeguards stay on duty regardless of if the water's calm and they look out, right? They check to make sure that there isn't any potential danger in sight. And while the ocean is such a beautiful place, it's also a place where there should be maintained boundaries, right? And nature doesn't always respect those boundaries. And we also, as people, don't respect the boundaries and the state of the ocean and the beaches, and right. And I know this can sound really hippie-ish, but just stay with me for a moment. The metaphor that came in my head was maintaining your waters, right? And this could be in your mental space, in your spiritual space, in your relationships, just maintaining those boundaries and being on guard, because what I was learning about this period in my life is that it taught me that the same way that I no longer believe in the phrase of there's no such thing as divorce for me, is the same thing that I was doing with mental capacity and mental space and mental health, which was there's such a thing as a divorce. It's absolutely real. It's a possibility. Not only is it a possibility, it's likely. It's likely. The statistics tell you it's likely that it is hard to do life with one person, and be happy and joyful and content and progressing with one person for a lifetime. It's a challenging thing. And we know that it's a challenging thing. We can look at our families, we can look at our parents, we can look at at television and entertainment and see how challenging being in a relationship is. And it's the same thing that you should regard to your mental health, and saying, there's no such thing as that touching me, or, that happens to other people, but I don't deal with that. And so I caught myself slipping because I always felt like that's what other people dealt with. And I had compassion for it, and I had an understanding to a degree as a bystander. And I didn't consider that oceans can sometimes be boundless, right? They can just, anything catastrophic can happen, right? And I didn't have a lifeguard on duty. I was not prepared at all. And I'm not saying that everybody needs therapy and everybody needs to do this and that, and but you should be aware of the fact that it's not just possible, it's likely. It's likely that you're going to have a trial. It's likely that you're going to be disrupted in life, that things could shift your moods, not just for a day or a moment in time, but for a period. And the same way that we talk about with A Hard Knock Life and enduring and having inevitable suffering in relationships and inevitable disagreements and conflict, you should also regard that in your spirituality and your moral compass and with your mental space, because it is a part of your health and your well-being. And I'm very aware of that now. Some of the more detailed things that came to mind for me when I was thinking about the ocean was, it's very vast, right? It's vast. It's always in the same place. You know where to find it. You know when to go to it. You know it's enjoyable, and you know how far not to go without having certain things in place, like your safety, right? That shallow waters can be deceiving, and that if you can't swim, if you're not prepared, if you're not trained for certain depths of your emotions, that you should probably not tread in those areas without having some safeguards in mind, right? And some of those safeguards may look like, having a life raft, knowing that, man, I might not need it, but I should have it available at some point. And that life raft may look something like, a trusted, unbiased professional that could look like sound wisdom in your pastor and your grandmother, somebody you trust, and really having a space to go to make sure that it is okay for you to be yourself and to be free of your emotions and be free in your emotions without judgment, whether that's the doctor's office, whether it's psychiatrist, whether it's a talk therapy or whatever. And I want to be mindful to not sit in shallow water and say that I'm drowning when I can just stand up, right? Like, that's essentially what I was doing, was sitting in shallow water, saying that I'm drowning, feeling like I'm drowning, when I had every ability to stand up. And standing outside of that, I know that now, but when you're in those moments of depth, of emotion, of unexplained response to feelings of anxiety and depression, it just feels like you are in the deepest part of that sea, right? Without a life raft, without anybody looking out for you on the shore, without a lifeguard on duty, with the National Guard not in sight. Like it just feels that way. So I'm at a point in my life where I am cleaning up my beach. I am trying to minimize the debris, right? I can't just keep it all sanitary at all times, but I just want to minimize the pollution that I'm contributing to my beach. And I want to make sure that I keep a lifeguard on duty. I want to make sure that I'm always on top of making sure that I'm taking care of myself. I want to make sure that I'm resting. I want to make sure that I'm accountable to me and I'm accountable to my children and my family, and by being the best version of myself. And so it sounded so much neater when I really thought about this, when I was in my car driving home and the Holy Spirit was just downloaded it into my little body here, and I feel like it's coming out a hot mess, but it's me. It's where I'm at right now. So, very much like your mental space, very much like navigating relationships, respect the boundaries. Respect the boundaries, set some if you don't have them. Don't go out too deep emotionally without precautions. So if you're going to start therapy, you might want to be accountable to some people in your life that are important to you so they can understand what you're going through. I know that my husband kind of felt helpless, and sometimes still does. And I still find him like awkwardly checking in and kind of like, what do I do? But I'm like, you're doing what you can. Like, it's just being there. And we haven't always agreed about the methods and medication, things like that. But I have stand just really firmly on what I feel the need to do for me that is healthy, regardless of whether he understands it. I'm not ever asking for permission to do for myself and what I feel is best. But I do acknowledge where I am, and I'm very honest about what I'm feeling, even if it makes it uncomfortable, and obviously I don't want to make my husband uncomfortable with where I'm at. I don't want him to worry or anything like that. But I do want him to be aware. And so I just encourage you to make others aware, or if you're that person, that supporting person that kind of doesn't know what to do and kind of feels helpless, you can do all you can do. That is it. You can do all that you can do. Being a bending ear, not preaching to people about what you would do if you were in the situation that you've never experienced and can't really truly understand or relate to, if that's not been your walk or your journey. And so I really hope that this is a blessing. I hope that this is encouraging. I hope that this makes sense, because this is a 3 o'clock in the morning recording. Yeah. So I'm tired. But I just felt so strongly that I need to share that. And I'm just going to leave it at that. If you have any questions or encouragement, anything that you would like to know, I am open, I am vulnerable, and I want to be helpful to others, and that is the whole purpose of this platform of the Hard Knot Life. I had to be okay with not being creative, because I have no choice but to sit and rest. That is my assignment right now, is to sit and rest and nurture myself. And I had to be okay with not being on the computer every day, and not updating you guys every day, and not even looking at the page, not looking at numbers, and not worrying about anything. And I can truly say that I'm content with that phase. And when I am called to be back on my post, I will be. And until then, when I'm feel nudged to share, and to create, and to do other things, that's surely what we will do. But I appreciate it. And man, God is still good. God is so good. Because as much as I worried about me just getting this baby off the ground, and like maintaining the interactions that I enjoy so much with the Hard Knot Life, especially on the Facebook. Oh my gosh, y'all are amazing on Facebook. I love the interactions. I love the challenges. I love the sharing. And I'm learning so much from just the comment section, and like getting to hear other people's perspectives. I'd had to be okay with letting it be. Letting it be. And it is still like notification city. My notifications are still like blowing up, because what we've already put out there, and what we've already engaged and asked of the audience, and it still seems to be reaching people, and people are still interacting with these posts, and still responding and sharing. And I just appreciate that so much. Not because it does something for our socials, but because it just proves that we were doing a good thing, and that we were doing something that people could relate to and respond to, that people could take interest in. And that's just the whole purpose of doing the Hard Knot Life, is just I want to be a healthy, happy, whole person. I want to have healthy, happy, whole, loving relationships. And I want to share as much of that wisdom, and receive as much of that wisdom and experience in return. So I thank you guys so much for hearing my heart. And until next time, bye.